Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning, it's the Workers Beat. I'm Gene Lantz. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming up. The Pan-African Connection bookstore is going to do a tribute to Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis. That'll be tomorrow, July 20th at 5 p.m. Poet Leo Hassan and friends present a tribute to Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis. On Monday, July 21st, this is a big one, 6 o'clock p.m., Raise the Wage with Congressman Mark Veazey. West Dallas Multipurpose Center, located at 2828 Fish Trap Road, Dallas, Texas 75212. It's a little bit tricky because I don't think there's a light there. Fish Trap runs into Singleton. That's where the library is, and behind the library is the Dallas Multipurpose Center. Congressman Veazey is a proud original co-sponsor of House Resolution 1010, the Fair Minimum Wage Act, which raises the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour. And, of course, everybody's fighting against him. July the 23rd, Wednesday, will be the last planning meeting for the unwelcome ALEC. The American Legislative Exchange Council is going to have its convention here on July 30th. They've been planning on Wednesdays for 2 or 3 months now, and they're looks like they're really going to get a big turnout.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
6:30 p.m. at 1408 North Washington, Wednesday, July 23rd, the last planning meeting. July 26th was when they really going to start doing stuff. At 10 a.m., the ALEC teach-in at 1408 North Washington. On the evening of July 26th, I speak at the College of Complex Forum, which is at Barbeck's Restaurant, and I don't remember the address.
It's on Garland Road.
It's on Garland Road. Okay, Barbeck's Restaurant on Garland Road, 6 o'clock on July 26th. On July the 30th, and those of you who saw that I posted the event last week, I made a typographical error, and I put July 16th. And by the time I caught it, it had already gone by, so I couldn't even fix it. But anyway, that's July 26th. July 30th at 11 o'clock in the morning, this is the big one, the ALEC protests begin. You were supposed to meet at 1530 Inspiration Drive at 11 o'clock on July 30th. Welcome, Bonnie Mathias.
Yes. Barbeck's address.
Oh, you have it?
8949 Garland Road.
You're so fast with that phone.
Hey, I've learned it's really a pretty cool tool.
I'm going to have to learn how to do that.
I know.
And now, the treat of all, we have Lorraine Beerville with us. Good morning, Lorraine.
Hey.
Good morning.
And you work for Congressman Veazey, right?
Yes.
And tell us about what you're planning for Monday night.
Well, we are really excited. We are hosting a minimum wage forum. And as Gene stated, it's going to be this Monday at 6 p.m. at the West Dallas Multipurpose Center, which is located at 2828 Fish Trap Road, Dallas 75212. And just as Gene was describing, when you're on Hampton and Singleton, going west on Singleton, you're going to see the library. And we're going to be right behind the library. And as soon as you walk in, you'll see us. We're going to be in the lobby.
Mm-hmm. The library is pretty cool, and that Fish Trap Road is pretty cool, too, because if you went north on Fish Trap Road, you'd run right into the cemetery where they buried the people that were at La Reunion, the socialists who actually had quite a bit to do with making Dallas, because when that little experiment failed in 1860, they say it failed. But the truth is that the Confederacy attacked them and made them all join the Northern armies. So, made them join the Confederate armies. So, they buried them right down there on Fish Trap Road, and that's supposed to be Fish Trap Lake, and of course it's called Fish Trap because the La Reunion people had fish traps down there on the Elm Fork of the river, and they also used it to keep things cool. That's where they put their buttermilk and stuff down in the river. So Fish Trap Road is a pretty good historical place. And what are we hoping to accomplish, Lorraine, with the Raise the Wage Forum?
Well, as you said before, Congressman Vesey is an original co-sponsor to this bill, and what it does, not only does it raise it to $10.10 an hour, but it also indexes it to inflation. We all know how the cost of milk, the cost of gas, everything has gone up. And so the great thing about it is if we are able to get it passed, what that means is this won't be politicized. Every time we need to raise the minimum wage, it should automatically be indexed to inflation rather than us having to have this battle every single time wages be increased.
So when prices go up, the minimum wage would go up.
Exactly.
That's what we call a COLA raise, cost of living allowance. And we want to have that for the minimum wage as well as the way we have it, for example, on Social Security.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So when prices go up, wages would go up. 1010 is not great, and I don't think it would even kick in until next year if they got this bill passed. But from then on, we'd have it indexed, so it would continue to go up.
Exactly.
Economists all over the country are saying that we got to raise wages. That's an interesting thing because usually economists don't want to raise wages. Usually all they can talk about is inflation, and they always try to blame inflation on us, even though it's been proven over and over and over again that wages do not precede inflation. They follow inflation. They come after inflation. So economists, nevertheless, are saying we have to raise wages. Do you have any idea why that is?
Well, the research shows that in states that have, obviously we're not talking about Texas here, but states that do have their own minimum wage that is higher than the federal minimum wage have actually shown faster small business growth, which is obviously good for jobs because small businesses are so critical to job creation. And the research also shows that when indexed for productivity, the minimum wage we have today is similar to what we had in 1968, and that's just unacceptable.
Right.
So it's not enough to begin with. State after state, if you look at the minimum wage in state after state, and you look at their other statistics, like how many children died, or how many live births there were, and how many died in childbirth, or how many finished school, or how much are crime rates, and all that, you find that the places that have a higher minimum wage also have better statistics on other measures of social well-being. So this fight over the minimum wage covers a lot of stuff. It's a lot more than just a matter of helping kids that work at 7-Eleven or something like that.
Absolutely, and actually one of the, to talk a little bit more in detail about the event, one of the panelists is actually someone who is a low-wage earner. She has 2 kids. She works at Walmart at a neighborhood market. But even though, even she has found time to come out and speak out because that's how important this issue is. And unfortunately, you have a certain group of people in our society, but because of their earning ability, you don't hear from them as much. Why? Because they're busy working.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're really thankful to have someone like that who's going to participate. And we also have a professor from TCU, Dr. Max Krochmal, who will be there. And he's going to speak from an academic standpoint on why it's so critical to raise the wage. We also have some business owners that are coming forward to, a lot of times people think with business owners that this is not something they would want to do, but it's actually good for business too. So we really look forward to hearing from them as well as members of the labor community. We are going to have a representative from UFCW as well as from Laborers International with their perspectives.
Great.
It's generally thought that all business persons are against raising the minimum wage, but there's a trick in this that people don't always see. And the trick is this. Let's say you have a hamburger joint and the guy across the street has another hamburger joint. If you raise your wages, then that's going to create more expenses for you, and the guy across the street is going to have an advantage. So You don't want to do that, maybe. But if you could get the government to raise the minimum wage, then the guy across the street would have to raise his wages the same as you, and then you could both treat your employees better and do better and have better employees and have people stay with you better. So not all business persons are against raising the minimum wage.
And on top of that, you have more people to actually spend money in your establishment. If everybody pays a living wage, then everybody has money in their pocket to spend at the local businesses.
So then they'll start coming in and buying your hamburgers.
Yeah, maybe you get to hire another person. Oh my God.
So the big reason I think that so many major economists are in favor of raising wages is because of wealth disparity. The United States now has record levels of disparity or gap between the richest people and the poorest people. For example, the Walmart family. They own 40% as much wealth. They own as much wealth as 40% of the American people put together.
Yeah.
So you take all 47% of us, 250 million of us, 40% of that, whatever that is, they have more money than that 40%. It's just way over 80,000 people.
Yeah.
And this disparity, it isn't just the Walmart family.
No.
It's the whole upper class of people in America. The 1% or the 0.01%, have got virtually all the money. They just sit on it. They don't spend it.
They're not creating jobs.
They're not creating jobs. They just hold in the money.
Those job creators.
And people say, well, if rich people spend more money than poor people, well, they do spend more than poor people, but not proportionally more.
Nope.
Poor people spend all their money.
Exactly.
So if we could get the rich people to spend all their money, then I guess the argument would fall through. But they don't.
They don't. No.
They sit on it. They're sitting on trillions of dollars right now. Mm-hmm. This whole recession would have gone away a long time ago if they had reinvested the money in some kind of job-creating stuff, but they haven't done that. Instead, they've just piled it up in the stock market and in the bond market, or just stuffed it under the mattress somewhere. So economists are actually claiming that we would be much better off if we could raise wages. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud to say that the labor movement is doing what they can. There was a time, and it wasn't very long ago, when union people would stand up and say, if you want better wages, you're going to have to join my union. And they're not saying that anymore. They're saying, okay, you can join an association, you can do whatever you got to do, but we're in favor of you improving wages because that's the best thing for the country, the best thing for the people in the country. We have, for example, the big drive to organize Walmart workers for the sole reason that they don't get full-time jobs and they don't get much money, they don't get much benefits, and they're just a burden on society the way Walmart treats them now. And then we have this other campaign to win $15 an hour wages for food service workers. And food service workers don't even get the minimum wage. By the way, how would the new bill, Lorraine Bill, how would the new bill, H.R. 1010, would that change the exemption on food service workers and agricultural workers or anything like that?
I am so glad you brought that up. They have not received the sub-minimal increase, I want to say, in at least over a decade, maybe even closer to 20 years. Mm-hmm. Their rate would go up from $213, which is where it is now, which, if you're unfamiliar what Gene was referring to, for example, if someone is a waitress, they make right now, the federal sub-minimum for them is $213 an hour plus their tips. With this bill, they would be raised within the $7 range, $7.07 an hour.
Mm-hmm, good.
So that would be a big change for them.
It'd still depend on tips, but they'd be
Absolutely.
Making more of a base salary.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't hurt the restaurants because it would affect all of them. And there's a lot of people that really get the short end on this. Let's say you're a waitress, and they say, well, we want you to take the cash register. Well, you're not going to make no tips on the cash register.
That's right.
And you're still a waitress. You're still working for $2.13 an hour. So it's a bad thing when they tell you to take the register.
Yeah.
Man.
or anything else, or bus dishes, or go back and work in the kitchen or something like that, and you're still making $2.13 an hour.
I think all too often people don't remember the dignity of work. Because someone is a janitor or because someone is a food service worker, that doesn't make them any less human or less important than anyone else. And in fact, in many ways, they're more important.
That's right. Because if they weren't there, there's a movie that was made several years ago. It's called A Day Without a Mexican.
Yeah.
It is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. It takes place in Southern California, in the L.A. area. And one day, they wake up, and all the Latinas are gone. All of them. Even to everybody. The maid at the senator's house is gone. The senator's wife has no idea how to even make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and God forbid she's got to do laundry. Mm-hmm. Garbage piles up. Restaurants don't have anybody to bus the tables. Oh, my God, it's a wonderful movie. Wonderful movie. Everybody should be required to see that.
We'll be back with Lorraine Beerbill in just a minute.
And then comes Saturday morning.
All right.
Gene
We're supposed to give out the phone number, too.
Yes.
It's 972-647-1893. I know you have opinions about the question of how much money people are making.
Yep.
972-647-1893. You don't have to listen to me and Bonnie. You don't even have to listen to our guest, Lorraine Beerbill, from Congressman Vesey's office. But you can call 972-647-1893 and have everybody listen to you, which is much better. Now, Lorraine, we're talking about the House bill that Congressman Vesey is doing, and you got the big forum coming up on Monday night. Who else is on the panel?
We have Dr. Max Crockmull from TCU.
Professor?
Yes, he's a professor there. We do have Bob Wingate of the Wingate Agency, which is an independent agency of American Income Life.
Uh-huh.
We do have...
so they hire people.
Yes, correct. Wanda Granier, she is with Bridgework Partners. And then we're having Melissa Kilpatrick, who is our Walmart worker, who is very concerned about minimum wage and living wage issues. Congressman Vesey will also be there, and he'll be on the panel. So if you have questions for the congressman, he'll be there, and you can ask him questions if you show up on Monday. And we hope that you'll be able to join us.
There's a good deal, and it's on Fish Trap Road, 2828 Fish Trap Road. But there's not any lot there, I don't think. So you just go along Singleton, go west on Singleton until you see the library on your left, and that's where Fish Trap Road runs across there. And so you turn on Fish Trap Road, and the multi-purpose center is actually behind the library. It's just to the south of the library. And it's an interesting area anyway, down Singleton. You know, as you drive down Singleton, you're driving through Bonnie and Clyde territory.
That's right.
They lived all up and down. They lived all up and down Singleton Street during their day before they start shooting everybody. And and then of course you're also on the territory that belonged to the La Reunion farmers, the collective socialist commune that really had quite a bit to do with Dallas being what it is or what it became. We're looking forward to the forum, and we have some really high praise for Congressman Vesey anyway. For example, he didn't vote for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is something that was very, very important to labor, that we not see any more jobs go running away because of the way things went with NAFTA, which hurt this country really, really bad. And Congressman's been very, very good on that. He didn't vote for the XL pipeline. All the environmentalists are happy with that. He got a 100% rating for labor, did he not?
Yes, sir.
Because I heard people say that. He also has a labor task force.
Yeah, it's really
that
awesome.
Meets. What other congressperson has that? I don't know of any around here.
I've never. Well, I'll take that back. We've met with Eddie Bernice Johnson.
Well, I've met with her too, but I don't remember her forming an actual labor task force.
No, I don't believe that's ever been done before that I know of. And Mark is. I mean, we meet once a quarter with members from his district. From labor leaders in his district, from Fort Worth, Tarrant County, and Dallas County, since he has that lovely district that flows through. And it's a good conversation. It's a very interesting conversation. And Mark feels, I believe he feels that it keeps him in touch with the real people that he represents.
The working people.
The working families.
972-647-1893 is the number. KNON actually likes it when you call. 972-647-1893. You might want to ask Lorraine Beerville something or make a little point that you want her to carry back to Congressman Mark Vesey, because this is your big shot. This is your chance to talk to an actual congressperson with your considerations and your concerns. I would like to think that people would want to compliment the man, because I know that those of us who work for a living or retirees, we're pretty crazy about the man because, as I said a while ago, he's got a 100% record for us, and now he's standing up for fair wages for everybody. And that'll be Monday night. Lorraine, you'll be there yourself, I assume.
I will be there as well. We're also going to have Jeremy Hendricks from Laborers International, as well as a representative from UFCW. And my understanding is some of the Walmart organizers are going to be there as well.
Good.
So it should be, very informative.
Yeah, I would think it would be informative, but it's also just a good thing to get behind. Like people would want to come and say, "I'm for this. I'm with you on this. I'm standing with you," because as I say all the time, when we say you crossed the line or you on the wrong side of the line or something like that, the line is on wages. That's how you can tell who's on what side is wages. So when wages are going up, that's a good thing for working people, but it's not always considered a good thing by the rich people. Rich people don't necessarily want it, and they're the ones that buy a lot of the politicians, so they have a lot of influence on their side. And if you're on the right side of the line, then you're for good high wages. And not very many people will come out as strongly as Congressman Vesey has. What kind of man is he? You got to know him, I guess, because you work for him.
Well, a little background on him. His first job was a labor job. He was a sacker at Kroger. And so, that was his first job and his first introduction to labor. His mom is also labor. She's a machinist. And so that's sort of the background that he comes from, working families. He worked his way through college. His mom is a working mom. And so, he's really connected, I would say, to working people because that's who he is.
Yeah. He's still a young man, too. And he worked for Martin Frost.
Yay.
Martin Frost also had a regular labor meeting.
Martin Frost was one of my he was just an incredible legislator. And I miss him. But I'm glad that we had Mark that really stepped into his shoes and carried it forward, which is so important for us to have.
Of the two, I'd rather have Mark Vesey, to tell you the truth.
He's better looking.
They both agree on a lot of things. Yeah, he's better looking.
Yeah, he is.
But also, I don't remember Congressman Frost ever getting a 100% record from labor. He had, a good record with labor, but I don't remember his getting 100%. 972-647-1893. If you want to call in, if you have anything to say, what's Congressman Frost like? Congressman Vesey like to work for? Is he really hard on you?
He's actually a very down to earth guy. He's like a regular Joe. And I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that. And if you come out on Monday, you'll get to meet him. He's probably one of the most accessible elected officials I've ever worked with, and I've worked with a lot of different elected officials. But he's very accessible, very down to earth, and wants to know about what you're concerned about, so he knows what to do when he goes back to Washington.
You said you'd worked with other elected officials. Tell us a little bit about your background, Lorraine Beerville. I've known you for 20 years or so on various picket lines, or this and that. Wow. Tell us how you got started in the field that you're in.
Well, you're making me shy here, Gene. But I'm a young person as well. I first got involved because my dad implored me to get involved early on while I was still in school, so I did that. And I volunteered on the Obama campaign for a year, full time. And then after that, and that's actually how I met a good friend of mine, Clay Jenkins, who's been a great friend of labor, who's been right on the policies.
Good deal. And your dad was some kind of progressive person as well?
Well, absolutely. My dad was a research scientist at UT Southwestern for about 19 years. He did research in neuroscience and sleep. So,
Wow, cool.
And
so I think he's a pretty smart guy.
And he pushed you into progressive politics, huh?
Absolutely.
And then what kind of things did you do then? You worked for the Obama campaign. You became some kind of a technological expert, I think.
Well, I'm not sure about all of that, but I do know how to use the voter file.
Yay!
What's the voter file?
So Democrats who work in campaigns, we have a system that we use that all Democratic campaigns buy into. And that system is what allows our campaigns to be successful, especially here in Dallas County.
That's where you find voting records and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Kathy's on line 4. Good morning, Kathy. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Glad to hear from you.
Yes, thank you for taking my call, Gene and Bonnie. I just was interested. I've been listening this morning regarding your comments on what's been happening with the disparity in income across the board as far as the upper 1% and everyone else. And one of the things that you mentioned was that, conventional wisdom is that, well, yeah, they had the money in there, the job creators, and that they did not create jobs. But I would counter that, yeah, they did create jobs overseas that did not benefit us.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that really concerns me. But the other is, and we were talking about Congressman Beasy in terms of what he's working on with regard to the unions and stuff. I'd be curious to find out what his stance is on trying to dismantle, well, maybe not dismantle, but to neutralize the influence of the American Legislative Executive Council, is it, ALEC, that's really been wreaking havoc not only on a national level, but state and local as well in terms of the legislation that has been passed that is really geared towards privatizing everything and bringing us even further away from any kind of economic recovery.
Kathy, are you one of the people that's going to be demonstrating against ALEC on July 30th?
What day is that?
It's a Wednesday. We're going to meet at 11 o'clock at 1530. What's the name of the street?
Inspiration Drive. It's a community brewery.
Okay. Well, what I can do is I can definitely put in for that date to be off because I'm absolutely that's my favorite thing to post on Facebook is any kind of thing with regard when I'm responding to Senator Cruz or Senator Cornyn or any of them. That's one of the main things I post on their feeds is, what are you doing about this? What are you doing about that?
I believe our official Facebook page is Stand Up to ALEC.
Right.
So
exactly.
if you'll look on there, you'll see the event is posted, both next Saturday's event and Wednesday's event as well with details.
Bonnie, is that the same as Don't Mess with Texas, ALEC?
Actually, yes. The official site is Stand Up to ALEC.
Okay. Yeah, I've already liked that page. So
good.
For some reason that didn't come across my feed, but I can definitely look into putting in for PTO so that I can participate in that protest because it's that important to me.
That would be awesome. We would love to see you.
Thanks so much,
Okay.
Kathy.
Thank
and we'll
you.
ask Lorraine Birabil then. Is Congressman Vesey taking money from ALEC?
Well, as you know, and this was covered during our last Labor Task Force meeting, when he was a state representative, prior to him being elected to Congress, he did serve the 95th District in Tarrant County, and, unfortunately...
And ALEC courted him at that time. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and he actually never attended any of their functions, any of their meetings.
None of their giveaway. Didn't take any of their free airplane trips or free vacations. Didn't take any of their money for his campaigns. I see.
And the reason for that is because their policy positions are just so out of line and out of whack with, his value judgments and where he thinks that we should be going as a state and where we should be going as a nation. And so he's continued that as a member of Congress.
Their values come from, and their money comes from big corporations. The big corporations control ALEC. It's just ALEC is their legislative arm. They write the legislation and carry the legislation for them, and some of the worst legislation that's happened in various states around the country was originated with ALEC and was carried through by ALEC and pushed through with corporate money by ALEC. So I'm glad to hear that Congressman Vesey hasn't had anything to do with them. Wouldn't have blamed him if he had of, because a lot of younger state reps, will get involved with ALEC before they find out what it's about. But a number of them have gotten out since then.
Yes, and Visa just pulled their support from ALEC, Visa Financial Services, which
Hooray!
I thought, isn't that great? That happened this week. I think that's
I'm not
awesome.
going to have to cut my Visa card then.
Yeah, no, Visa Financial Services pulled their membership from ALEC. They sure did.
It's because people are finding out about ALEC, and as long as they didn't know anything about it, they could do all the kinds of stuff that they did secretly. But now that people are finding out about it, and there's pressure on them. I know the Google Corporation is a member of ALEC, and I saw the Progressive magazine the other day where people were picketing Google and asking them to get out of ALEC, which would be a good thing. You could,
as progressive as Google professes to be, they certainly should not have any business dealings with ALEC.
But there must be an awful lot of pressure on Congressman Vesey to knuckle under to the corporations. There must be an awful lot of pressure on him because, frankly, most politicians do.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, and, the fact of the matter is, I really think that his guiding principle has a lot to do with his upbringing. Yep. And just his life experiences, and knowing that the base and the core of our country are people who are working people. And when you have that in mind, the policies tend to make sense. They can be complicated, but when you have the right priorities in mind, it's easy to make the right decision.
But there's so much money in politics now, especially since the Supreme Court has just really opened the floodgates and allowed the rich people to just literally buy politicians and buy whole elections, buy whole school districts. I mean, we had a school district campaign here, for a really minor seat that didn't even pay anything, and we had a candidate, I think, spent $120,000 on one of the...
For a school board post that pays zero.
So big money is really crowding the political figures, and I'm sure that when Congressman Vesey runs next time, which will be in November, right?
Yes,
he'll be up against people with lots and lots and lots of money.
Well, and the other thing is, in our primary, we tend to run into millionaires too. So, but again, it just goes back to when you're doing the right thing, people see that.
Yep, that's right.
And you think that Congressman Vesey will be able to stay the course and keep a progressive record as he goes along?
Absolutely.
Well, you know more about it than I do because you've been better involved and more thoroughly involved in politics than most people. Is that not true?
I would suppose so. I mean, as maybe compared to someone who votes every election, I suppose. But I mean, it's always a good thing to work for good people that are going to do good work
and are doing the right thing.
One person that's really controversial in Dallas right now is County Judge Clay Jenkins, and I'm going to ask Lorraine Beerville how she feels about County Judge Clay Jenkins after we take this break. We're back on the Workers Beat. You can call us at 972-647-1893. I just want to take a quick note that yesterday was Nelson Mandela Day, a day that we will celebrate forever for a great man. Today, July the 19th, was the day that Anastasio Somoza was defeated in Central America, and there's been complete and total struggles for freedom and dignity in Central America ever since then. That was in 1979. On July the 19th in 1848, the Women's Rights Convention held a meeting in Seneca Falls, New York. The delegates adopted a Declaration of Women's Rights and a call for women to win the right to vote. That was on July the 19th in 1848.
Wow.
So this is a pretty big day. 972-647-1893. I said I was going to ask Lorraine Birabille how she feels about County Judge Clay Jenkins. And it's noteworthy that I also mentioned Central America a while ago. People are struggling for their rights in Central America, and the dictatorships are coming down on them hard, and a lot of people are getting killed. There's a lot of drug gangs and that sort of thing, and a lot of their kids are ending up on the American border, and some of them are supposed to be coming to Dallas, and this has a lot to do with County Judge Clay Jenkins. So again, Lorraine Birabille, what interaction have you had with County Judge Clay Jenkins?
Well, prior to working for Congressman Vesey, I did work for Judge Jenkins. Well, he wasn't Judge Jenkins at the time. This was his original election campaign. And then after that, I worked. Obviously, I've done other campaigns. I did Wendy Davis's base program last time for her reelection. But about Clay. One thing about him, and Gene, Bonnie, you know this about him, he is dead on the policies.
Yep.
When it comes to minimum wage, you know that what he's done at the county to increase that for people who work at the county,
Yeah.
even contractors, even people who some would say are least among us. Yep. He's done that. With the migrant children that are coming to North Texas, he's been dead on. I totally agree with him when he says that these kids need to be shown some compassion.
Yep.
And one of the facilities that they're looking at is actually in Congressman Vesey's district, and we're going to do everything we can, to support this. Correct. And we're going to be doing everything we can to support this. And we also organized some volunteers to help down at Southwest Center Mall with Edna Pemberton. She did a supply drive in conjunction with Catholic Charities to help support Judge Jenkins and the kids that are coming. So, we're really excited at this opportunity for North Texas to show our big hearts to these 2,000 kids.
Yeah.
Bonnie, didn't they discuss that at the Central Labor Council meeting on Thursday night at the AFL-CIO?
Yes, we did. We discussed that Thursday evening. This is, in fact, a representative from Judge Jenkins' office came and spoke to us and explained to us what's being done and how things are being pulled together. There's many groups out there that are reaching out to Judge Jenkins. I think she's received over 600 phone calls from people reaching out, wanting to know what they can do to help.
How they can help.
Yeah.
But they're not actually ready to start that, are they?
No, it's
I
really...
understand Catholic Charities is already doing it.
Yes, and Texas Organizing Project, we're putting together a plan to collect socks and underwear. I'm going to be putting together a Facebook event. These children are coming here with nothing but the clothes on their back. Some of them have a printed message pinned to their clothing saying, "I have a relative in Denver that will take my child." I get so emotional about this because it is so important. This is no different than pre-Civil War. And the Underground Railroad. Nancy Hall explained this. This is no different than African American mothers in the South putting their children into the Freedom Network, into the Underground Railroad to help them escape from slavery and possible death, to have them live a free life. This is no different.
I think the AFL-CIO is supposed to start a program as well, but they're waiting for a signal from Judge Jenkins to get that started.
That's right. We're just getting a little jump on things with Texas Organizing Project because, we just want to make sure that we are completely prepared. And I know I've got a big basket of toiletries that folks came to my office on Thursday and bagged up in little bags, so that they have shampoo and body wash and things for personal hygiene. And we're just waiting. We're going to collect things and then we'll wait.
972-647-1893 if you have an opinion. KNON likes it when you call. 972-647-1893. So not everybody is in favor of this, and I I'm going to ask Lorraine Beerville why it is that some political figures are willing to take a chance on this, because in my experience, back through the years in the old days, from my days,
back when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Yes. Before we had telephones and modern, we still rode horses.
That's right.
Back in those days, politicians didn't get involved in controversial issues, and they would always duck. If you ask them something, they say, "Well, some people say so, and I think we need to look at this," or something like that.
They probably need to form a committee committee.
We have County Judge Clay Jenkins, who's up for election, taking a very controversial stand, and Congressman Vesey, you say, is backing him. So why is that, Lorraine? What's changing in politics in America? I noticed the same thing at the Democratic Convention. The Democratic Convention came out, the Texas Democratic Convention came out for gay marriage. Now they've been ducking that for years and years and years, and yet they came out with the most progressive platform I have ever seen in America, and it was the Texas Democratic Party that did it.
About dang time.
What's happened?
Well, I think it's more of a realization that, each of us, the Democratic Party is the big tent party, and each of us brings something unique and important to the party. Mm-hmm. And I think because of that, it's just sort of an awakening that, the majority, we are the new majority. It's just that we're not voting like we're a new majority. Mm-hmm. And so, step by step, we're going to get there. I think Texas is getting much closer to being in play than it was. Each year we keep getting closer. And when Texas turns, it's going to be a very hard time for the Republican Party to be a national party. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very difficult for them to win any sort of national elections. That's right.
Yeah, I have one of my old radical friends. I said something about the Democratic Convention in Dallas, and he said, "Oh, well, I just wish the Democrats would come right out and support progressive causes." And I realized that the man had not even read the news coverage about the Democratic Party convention, and he certainly hadn't read the platform, which is, by the way, is online. Anybody can read it. He was just repeating something that he been saying from the old days, and it was true in the old days. In the old days,
it was.
Political parties and politicians ducked controversial issues, and yet now they're not. It's a sea change in American politics. A lot of people are saying that Hillary Clinton's going to run for president as a Democratic Party nominee, but I'm also hearing people say that they're going to run the senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders. I mean, that's far, far, far to the left, to the progressive side from Hillary Clinton.
He's my hero.
Or any Clinton. and Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
I've also heard that they're going to try to draft Elizabeth Warren or Joe Biden, who would reflect the policies that President Obama has shown us so far. There's something different going on in American politics today.
Imani's on line one.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good morning, Imani. Thanks for calling KNON.
Good morning, Gene and Bonnie.
Good morning, darling.
Hey, look here. I other day I mentioned I was going to Waco, and you mentioned my name.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna give you my number. Anybody want to contact me and help me? They need some problems especially with the justice system.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Just Us system. I'm gonna give them my phone number, and they'll have that. I'll call back when I talk to you.
Okay.
But things like what's happening. I'm going to Mountain View College. I'm going back for extended education.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good for you.
And they got a program they call REACH, but you guys are not old enough. You got to be 65 and over.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a free program at Dallas Community Colleges. And last semester I studied Texas government. This semester I'm going to study federal government, and then philosophy. Then they'll finally put me out of school. I'll have another associate's.
Imani, you work a lot with, you said the justice system. You work a lot with ex-prisoners and the whole question of how prisoners are treated, right?
Yes, I did. I work with Families Against Mandatory Minimum out of Washington.
Because I want to ask you something. I heard that they are talking about having early release for a lot of the drug offenders. What do you think of that?
Well, they are. They already doing it. While we listening, they have already let them out. But what they doing, they're not preparing them to come out. And so what they doing, if you go to the poor, lower class, lower income areas, you see all these guys say, you got any spare change? That's these people that they letting out. They living in on the Trinity bottoms and under the bridges.
I thought they wouldn't let them out unless they had a job or prospects for a job.
Well, the kid, no, that's not that program. That program stopped long years ago. That's just something it's political, like you talking about now. It's political to make them sound like they're trying to do something. But there's people out here don't have a record, can't find a job.
That's right.
That's true
thousands of them. Thousands of them. They just only, they're not counting the people in the percentages when they say, they drop to 60%. A lot of these people have been so out of work so long, they don't even count.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Money, wrap it up because I got some people waiting.
Well, what I want to tell you, think about the thing redlining, the word redlining. Think about demographics, and now you'll start thinking about what are we going to do? We're trying to turn this place blue, which is Democrat, but the red running it right now. So things have Mr. Jennings, the judges, he's getting himself ready for something else besides the county commissioner's court. Okay.
Think so?
Yes,
okay. Well, thanks a lot, Imani. Let's take this next call on line 2. Thank you, madam, for calling KNON. Hello. You're on the air.
I just have an opinion. I heard somebody say that illegal immigrants, I don't know if they're legal now or not, that they are like the blacks and the South, the women getting their kids involved in things that where they're endangering their lives and stuff. I don't agree with that. I mean, they're illegal.
And the kids from the South were black, so there you go.
We're not illegal. So, I'm not saying, I think we should help those kids. We should help kids. I don't care if they got dropped from the sky and landed safely in the grass. You help kids. But they're illegal. You do what's right. You get them help, send them home, get them legal, or at home or here or something. You can't compare them.
Well, what do you think about bringing 2,000 of them to North Texas and trying to find places for them here?
Well, just like the lady who just called, she said there are people who are citizens they can't make it. They're not making it. They're asking for spare change.
Yeah.
Even those kids already, some of them kids out here, they're hard criminals.
No, you're listening to the wrong people. These are children from the age of 8.
They say 12. Some of them 12 and 14 have already done something.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just can't.
Well, calm down. Let the lady talk.
I might be wrong about that. They're good, good and innocent and all. They haven't done anything, but they're illegal. You can't compare them to people who are here struggling. And who they're citizens.
You don't think it was illegal for slaves to leave their plantations in the South? That was illegal,
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't legal for them to leave the plantation.
It wasn't legal, but they were still citizens, and they.
No, they weren't citizens. They were property.
The slaves weren't citizens, no, ma'am. But go ahead.
What are they supposed to kill themselves? Okay, you want to give these kids an ultimatum to kill themselves? I mean, if you compare them, don't compare them to the blacks. I mean, that's not right.
Don't compare the children to children before the Civil War. Then. Okay. Well, thanks very much for your comments. Appreciate it. KNON likes it when you call. Anybody else wants to call? It's 972-647-1893. I'll ask Lorraine Beerbill. She wants to respond to the woman who said that the immigrant children should not be compared to black children.
Well, I believe at the Statue of Liberty, it does say, bring your poor and starving masses.
That's right.
And I think at the end of the day, we have to have compassion. I think at the end of the day, we have to remember that our nation is a nation of immigrants. everyone who's here, unless you're Native American, came from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And who are we to say, because we got here before someone else did, that somehow we're more of a priority than they are? The fact of the matter is we have millions of people who are living in the shadows right now. And actually, Congressman Vesey is an original co-sponsor of the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill, would alleviate the border crisis that we see today, with children, basically fleeing very unsafe situations. But going back to where we are now, because we have not been able to get this passed because there are some very conservative people in the House of Representatives that won't call a vote. The fact of the matter is, going back to this primary issue with the border situation, I agree with Bonnie. These are children, and we need to treat them as such. They shouldn't be in jail-like detention facilities to where, the rest of their life they're going to be affected by this.
Yep.
Okay, let's try to get this other caller in before we run out of time. Good morning. Thanks for calling KNON.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, I have when we look at history, why don't we look at what FDR did back in the late 30s, 40s with the good neighbor policy towards our, neighboring countries in Latin America, up our hand up. If you try and stop the problem where it is, and help out there. Now, I know, of course, we look at the 50s, 60s, 70s where the United States got involved, trying to establish what we consider a democracy in our eyes. And so that left a bad taste for a lot of people in Latin America. Instead, and I teach students who come from this part of the world, and some of the stories they tell, I don't know kids alive very much when they talk about where they come from.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the stories they tell, how they got here, who they came with, it's depressing.
Yeah.
And then
It's horrible.
they talk about living here, and their parents aren't working jobs as doctors, lawyers.
No.
They're not out there, have these high-paying jobs. They have jobs where they're being paid in cash.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to run out
Thank
of time.
you so
Appreciate
much.
your call.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
Bonnie.
Lorraine.
Appreciate Lorraine Beerville for coming in to talk about Congressman Vesey's forum on Monday night on Fish Trap Road in Singleton. And we'll be back next week.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.